Ugh. Greetings, dear ones. Finally, greetings, dear ones. My apology for being late. Technical challenges trying to interface both Zoom and Facebook, which I am very grateful for, the fact that this can be done. Grateful to Zoom for all the many, many connections that it has afforded everyone this year, and grateful to Facebook. Any shortcomings of both parties may be true, but the benefits, certainly to me and those that I know, have been immense. Greetings, greetings, greetings. This is a little bit different than normal because I am here on a Sunday, but this is a very special day. This is November 1st, 2020, the Day of the Dead. Celebration continuing from yesterday. Actually, the energetics started really, really strong on Friday, but yesterday being All Hallows Eve in the Celtic tradition and recognized as a beginning a new year for those in the Wiccan or earth-based spiritual traditions. It was also a blue moon, which can be described in two different ways, either a full moon, second full moon within a full calendar month, or a fourth full moon within a 3-month period. Again, depending on how you work with the months and the seasons and the moon, and if you're basing it more in astronomy or traditions from long, long ago. Today is the Day of the Dead, and while one may believe that to be, or it seemingly is, a day of celebrating and reunion with those that have passed, it is not in its purest tradition a day of mourning by any means. It is a day of celebration, a day of remembering, a day of communing. I'm adjusting something on my altar, which I will show you in just a moment, as there are very traditional items on this altar. According to the tradition of Mexico and northern Guatemala, where this originated with the, actually before the Aztec but every country has had some sort of celebration honoring those that have passed, not only honoring them, but inviting them back to this reality, excuse me, or this plane of existence for connection, communication, and communion. Let me see if I can give you a few examples of that. We have the tradition, the pre, and then actually, let me back up a little bit because we're moving into All Saints Day and All Souls Day. Now, prior to approximately 1,000, 1,500 years ago, this period of time in the year was celebrated by multiple traditions, as I said, a means of communicating with and connecting with and communing with those that have passed, with ancestors, with spirits from other realities, other planes of existence, because this period of time allows for easy access back and forth. The veil is very, very thin at this time of the year. Those traditions were usurped by the Roman Catholic Church, and to keep people from celebrating their traditional ways, they mandated All Saints Day, excuse me, when it was obligatory to go to church, to pay tithes, and acknowledge or recognize the saints up until that point. But that was not sufficient. People would still continue to celebrate and commune with their loved ones. So at a later point, the church mandated All Souls Day, in which once again you were to pray for those that had passed, pay to the church to have them not stay in purgatory, so that there would be prayers and masses keeping them from suffering in purgatory and potentially moving on to heaven. So it was a way for the church, as it did in so many different cultures and so many different countries, to attempt to suppress or eradicate traditions that had been part of so many different cultures for thousands and thousands of years. Some of those traditions still sneaked through. People continued to do certain rituals or maintain certain beliefs, sometimes adjusted to the wording and the framework of the church, but many still standing in their original form. That then actually, many of those traditions were modified and made into Halloween. That's why we have the symbols of skeletons representing the dead, with the Day of the Dead tradition from Mexico and Central America. There is a skull represented. And I have actually, they're made out of sugar. This is a very large one that I obtained from a store here nearby, a beautiful Mexican store. This is icing and it's sugared. There are, oops, glare is interfering. There's a good picture of it. And you can see the skull coming through, as on the other side, the sugar coating or the icing is, and they're all very beautifully decorated. As you well may know by now, many different stores, etc., are incorporating the Day of the Dead symbols, popularized by a couple of wonderful children's movies, The Book of Life and Coco among them. So that is the origin. Those are the original traditions. The Day of the Dead, despite the, again, attempt to suppress and eradicate the culture and the traditions in Mexico, some of them were just too strong. And this was one of them. Again, was it overlaid with All Saints and All Souls? Yes. Is the church involved? Yes. But the celebration of those that have passed still remains. And families do go to the graveside, excuse me, and visit their loved ones that have passed, with food, taking a picnic, bringing guitars or other instruments to make music. It is a very joyous occasion, remembering, telling stories about those that have passed, bringing up memories. And aside from the foods that are eaten by those at the graveside, there is a traditional bread, a traditional sweet bread, that I wasn't able to obtain this year, but for the ceremony last year, we had quite a few people. I was able to obtain them, and everybody was able to take some home. Aside from that, foods that the loved ones particularly liked were brought and left at the grave for them to partake of. And that is a tradition in many different cultures where food is left out. I mentioned that yesterday in the meditation. Food is left out for spirits and or for loved ones. Oftentimes a place is set at the table, as if the person were right there joining. And oftentimes people have experiences of spirits. Food is left out, it's gone in the morning. Excuse me. And again, many traditions. I invite you to access your culture wherever, and we are a melting pot here in the United States, but each of you have a culture from both sides, both parents. They may be the same, they may be different. I invite you to do some research and really explore the way in which your lineage cultures have acknowledged and perhaps celebrated or communed with those that have passed. So that is in particular today. Just check my notes if there was anything else. As I said, I'm following more the Mexican tradition, but Chinese culture certainly actually takes place at a different time of year. But again, families get together. They are worshiping their ancestors. We're going to be including that tomorrow, by the way. Obviously, due to rain, I was not able to hold the live event. So that is going to be moved to tomorrow evening, Monday, November 2nd. Beginning, I'm shooting for 5 o'clock when I begin the fire for those that want to join then. If you can't make it due to work to a little bit later, that's fine. The actual process and ceremony will begin a bit later than that. So I encourage you to arrive before 6 if you can. Please register, call me, contact me through email, andrea@healersuniverse.com, because there are certain things that I would invite you to bring as part of the ceremony. The rest I'll have here. let's see. So again, we're going to be celebrating more tomorrow, the ancestors and other traditions regarding this time of year when the veil is so thin. We are going to be working with not only our personal experiences and what we would like to create in our life, but also um, that for our nation, for the world. So it's going to be very, very powerful. I've already been receiving information as to what particular energetics and beings are going to be joining us. So I encourage you to, we're going to be outside, of course, with masks, socially distanced, each person in their moment of going to different stations for ceremony will be doing so individually, so there will not be nearness to another. If that's a concern, each person, for example, will be going through the labyrinth by themselves, so there won't be any close contact. Yes. Anything else? No, I just would really like to encourage you to create your own altar today or over the next day or two if you're not able to join us tomorrow. These that I'm going to show you are more following, again, the Mexican and Northern Central American tradition, but you can create your own altar. I would encourage you to have certain things on the altar, despite the tradition that you are accessing or utilizing. One would be a candle for several different reasons. One, for the element of fire. Another, because traditionally for thousands of years, the lighting of candles or some form of light is always a symbol of the continuation of life for those beings in whatever form they may find themselves beyond this physical existence. I would also encourage you to have pictures of your loved ones or pets that have crossed over. It's always wonderful to have some representation of the earth through flowers or some living um, plant, tree, some representation. I would also encourage you to have some uh, foods that are either oftentimes in traditions, most of traditions have something sweet there to acknowledge the sweetness of the person's existence here on the planet, the sweetness of life, and then oftentimes something savory or salty. Excuse me. So you might want to include those. I'm going to try and move this camera to show you some of the items on this altar. Hopefully this will work. This is the altar for today's ceremony, Day of the Dead. And as I've already shown you the skull, or yes, the iced skull, the sweet. It's generally not eaten, but they are purchased and left at the graveside or on home altars. Again, many of you may have learned a lot of the items that are on the Mexican altar for Day of the Dead through movies such as Coco. You see there, I have actually flowers of mum. Ideally, they should be marigold, but those were a little more challenging to find. This comes from one of my plants outside. For me also, the crow has been very, very significant in the past week. And so there is a symbol of the crow. Um, Yesterday, those of you who were able to hear the ceremony and meditation yesterday recognized the, well, heard me mention the visitation from 3 vultures right over my property yesterday. And those are amazing creatures who symbolize lack of fear of death. As a matter of fact, they not only face death, but eat death. And they prevent disease and also are known to as a symbol of life coming from death, because of course that's what they feed on. You may notice also that I have a cracker. That was one of my father's, one of the connections that he and I had as a little girl were with crackers and jam in the middle of the night. Should we wake up, a little snack. And the honey, oops, sorry, trying to get my camera here right. Oh, there. Oh my goodness, what's going on here? Apologies. There we go. The honey, a spoonful of honey. This honey happens to be in a silver spoon that was part of my mother's tradition. And again, the flower to symbolize the air. I have several feathers that have come to me. One of them in particular, the blue jay. Very, very recently, he's been one of my accompanying teachers. There is some corn, again, recognizing the tradition from Mexico. There is salt for a couple different reasons, representing the earth. Also, it is was a significant part of my mother's likes. Sorry about the camera trying to coordinate this. Ooh, and I'm not. There we go. This various leaves at autumn in their varying states of deathing, which is significant right now. To represent water, I do have a large glass of water right here. Also, a crab and shell. This miniature crab and shell came from an amazing retreat weekend on the Orcas Island in the far Pacific Northwest. And this is a stone with a labyrinth on it, because our journey in life is always a spiral, and bringing in the energy of my labyrinth in the backyard as well, which is very powerful, earth energies, and actually it's been imbued with deep magic as well. There is the white buffalo, representative of the Native American tradition, and that is here because it represents the direction of the north and the elders and wisdom as they move on to their next existence when they pass. And again, some live flowers that are blooming in my backyard, as well as a whole little potential maple tree with its roots. It's very significant to be rooted as well as reaching for the heavens. And again, if you were with me yesterday, I encountered an amazing Hercules in the sky the night before that represents that bridging between heaven and earth and human and the divine. There's a picture of my mother and I. Actually, that is in the crown of the Statue of Liberty. You can see the metal windows behind it. The picture of the cat was a master who visited me for 20 years in the body of a cat and worked with me very intently. The other side of that frame is my father and I. And this is an onyx. This is one of the gods of Mexican tradition. And you can create your altar in any way you see fit, but there are some things that I would, as I said, recommend. Pictures of your loved ones that have passed, candle, something representing the living earth. And of course, it's always ideal to have symbols of the four elements and or the four directions. Again, whatever your tradition is, but I would encourage you to create an altar today and leave it there certainly through tomorrow. The one thing that I do not have on here that I realize is missing is something that I would like to represent our country as it goes through this rather challenging time. But we'll talk more about that tomorrow. And if you'd like to put something on your altar representing the choice point that we're going through right now, either for evolution or going backwards into what we've been exploring and studying for thousands of years, it is very significant. If I have time, I would also like to show you how to make another very traditional symbol of the wind. It take just a minute to do so, and we will be working with this, but tomorrow. But the tradition in Mexico, many of you are familiar with, of the paper flowers. And that's simply done by taking a piece of tissue paper, folding it over. Again, usually it's great to start about an inch. Some people like them wider or smaller, depending on your, you can experiment in many different ways. If you just at the dollar store, and you want to fold it back and forth until you have used the whole tissue paper, and you can utilize pipe cleaners or a piece of ribbon. Right at the moment, all I had handy was a twist tie or twister that you would use to close something in your kitchen. It doesn't really matter. And once you have folded it back and forth, you want to twist it and in the middle, and again, close it in some way. And then you can tear it in any form you want. Cut it. I'm going to just curve it a little bit on either end. I'm doing this very, very quickly, but if you take time, it's really a wonderful way to honor or acknowledge the not only the element of air, but also to place in this your prayers, your communication, your talking to those that have passed. Perhaps, as I said, putting prayers not only for them, you can make many of these. You can cut down the tissue paper and make it much smaller. When you fold it and cut out different sections or different shapes within it. Then when you finally open it up, for example, this one I just cut a little hole in and you open it up. But again, you can do all kinds of elaborate designs if you use several pieces of paper together, multiple colors, and it comes out to a flower of sorts. Again, that was made very, very quickly just to show you, but when you use multiple pieces of paper and then finally fan it out, it's a beautiful flower. And again, having prayers or wishes placed in it, or maybe communication to your loved ones for those words to be taken on the wind to them. I'm going to leave this over here. Oftentimes I have had people actually put essential oil on their paper, tissue paper flower as a means of sending that energy. In this case, I'm going to put some joy. This is Young Living, the only oils that I have and will use for the past 21 years. And I'm placing joy, a drop of joy on my flower, as well as I'm going to put some white angelica. That is a very protective, very high vibration, high frequency. So I'm going to wish that on not only those that have crossed over in my world, but also for our culture and for this nation, as well as a drop of harmony. So my flower now has and will exude and diffuse harmony, joy, and divine protection for quite some time. As a matter of fact, it will last. But you can put on your flower the wishes that you might have. For example, some of the oils are that I would suggest is transformation, peace and calming. We also have ones that build your dream, fulfill your destiny. Those would be wonderful as prayers to put on your tissue paper flower and have it diffuse. Reminding you to breathe. There's great oils, Breathe Again, or any of the eucalyptus, or RC, which stands for respiratory congestion. And I think actually I might just do that because this whole year has been indicators in one way or another of being challenged to breathe. We've seen that in so many ways, whether it was through the terrible passing of George Floyd, who kept saying, "I can't breathe," whether it's through this current virus, where the breath is actually taken from the victims, whether it's in freedoms in our country and around the world, not being able to breathe in and through your ability to have life and pursuit of happiness. Another indicator is, that we're not able to get out and do and enjoy in the former ways. Again, not being able to breathe through your chosen life. That's another whole study and meditation that may come up in the very near future, but it has been a year of so many different ways of I can't breathe. So I am going to place that as a prayer on my tissue paper flower and have that diffusing throughout the day, as I will be in retreat with multiple indigenous tribes from around the world through an amazing foundation. I would encourage you to look it up and to align yourself in any way you feel appropriate for you, whether it's attending some of the virtual teachings from indigenous elders around the world. They have them ongoing, or whether it is to contribute. Many of these tribes have been devastated by COVID, on top of deforestation, those that are in the Amazon, or the poverty and lack of opportunities of our own Native American elders here in the United States. So contributions are always invited. It's a wonderful way also to memorialize and remember your loved ones and to tap into your deeper elder within. So let's see if there's anything else I'd like to share today that I had intended. A quick look at my notes. I think that that is all for today. Enough information for you to create your own altar and to be able to start your own tradition, adapting from your original lineages or following more the Mexican and Northern and Central America tradition. One of the readings this morning, which I thought were very, very interesting, is from a book published for the first time, I believe, in 1987, reprinted. I believe the edition I have is from 2007. Point being that it was quite a few years ago. And yet the reading for today could not be more appropriate, of course. I leave it to them. And this is a beautiful woman by the name of Eileen Caddy, who was one of the founders of Findhorn. I know that's backwards in the camera. One of the founders of Findhorn in Scotland, that you can research, an amazing center of nature and nature spirits, etc. And she starts out each month, this happens to be November 1st reading. I was shown the earth like a draft board, painted in big black and white squares. As rain came down, the black paint ran into the white, and the whole became a dirty gray. Then even heavier rain came, and the whole was transformed into the purest white. I heard the words, "Have faith, hold fast, and know that the whole earth and all in it are going through a tremendous cleansing process. All is very, very well, for all is going according to my plan. Be at perfect peace." And those of you who have listened to some of my talks in meditation or have worked with me know that I've been speaking for many years about this time, and we are now in it of profound evolution. And for that evolutionary process and for humanity to up level or upgrade its form of duality, its exploration of duality, much needs to fall away and die or deconstruct or be cleansed. And that is what we're going through right now. So I think it's very, very significant that this time of deathing recognition of death, recognition of life beyond death, and that being exemplified by the ability to speak to and communicate with spirits, beings, loved ones that are beyond this plane of existence that we live in, this physical plane that we live in. Interestingly enough, I was at a gathering last night, and a young man who had had encounters, he is obviously an adept at being able to communicate with or receive spirits, and had gotten very frightened on many occasions. And we were speaking about that, and I was sharing with him some of my experiences with spirits as I've gone to clear homes or that have appeared in sessions, to let him know that it is not something to fear, but instead something to work with, something to expand your abilities. And that is for everyone, because we all do have those abilities. So in keeping with that, I would invite you to settle in at this moment. And since we have invited so many energies in, there's every possibility, whether you're listening live to this today on November 1st, Day of the Dead, or whether you listen at some point in the future, the energetics are still there. Because when we're talking about energy, particularly of this form or beyond form, time and space does not limit its ability to reach you, touch you, assist you, guide you. So settling in to your chair, obviously, or your couch. And again, if you've ever done this with me before, I always invite everyone to find your sits bones, because once you're settled on those, it's the bones right in the very center of your buttocks. Sometimes it helps to just pull a little bit of tissue away so that you can feel them a little bit more clearly. For when you're sitting on your sits bones and you allow your shoulder blades to just kind of slide down and a little bit towards one another, it gives you more space in your chest. It allows your skeletal structure to do what it's meant to do, which is to hold your body up so you don't have to. We all are in this stance with our shoulders up and leaning a little bit forward, oftentimes to protect the emotional centers of the body. So when you are able to slide those shoulder blades a little bit down and together, it leaves more space to breathe. It opens up your chest, allows your heart to be more present to you, and allows you to sink more easily down and into you, which is what this practice is all about. It is not about going out through your third eye, but instead to go down and in, exploring your inner verse, and in that, your ability to more easily shapeshift or move into other realities or experience that thinning of the veil where other beings, whether it's your loved ones that have crossed over, whether it is ancestors, or whether that is your guides and teachers and masters, being able to communicate with you more. Because when you run the communication through your brain, it is going to be limited by your brain. Whereas when you are allowing the energy to come through your inner world, excuse me, and your innate, which is your gut feeling, then it is more accurate to your particular path, for that information is coming through from your wider self, your soul self, to you directly through your energy field and through your body, through a felt sense. So I encourage you to try this practice, as it is quite different than most meditations. So I don't really refer to it as a meditation. Excuse me one second. I'm going to turn on Biomat, which is a wonderful means of, again, transmission of energy. It's also great for your body. So, settling on your sits bones, and again with those shoulder blades sliding down and together, welcoming your body, asking and allowing your body, asking and allowing your energy field, asking and allowing your wider self, asking and allowing your guides and teachers and masters, asking and allowing all times, all aspects of you. For you are so much more than simply this human physical form. Many refer to your Akashic records or your other lives and existences, which again can bring you great information. So really allowing anything that is significant, pertinent, or important to come through. So not doing anything in particular with your breath, but simply noticing, simply sensating your body, your breath. There is no right way, there is no wrong way, there is only your way. And the more you're able to allow yourself to be led by, to be guided by, to follow your energy field and your wider self's lead, the more potential for that deeper connection, communication, and potential communing with those that have passed, ancestors, other aspects of you or other dimensionalities of you, or as some refer to them, other lives of you. And so as the sacred geometrics of this particular practice, this particular moment in our time is being developed, I encourage you to simply feel, simply sensate your body, your energy field, and just sinking into more and more comfort, closing your eyes if that feels right, or perhaps initially just leaving them just a 1/10 of an inch open so that you are connecting in and through your body to go into your internal world. Oftentimes, when we close our eyes, there's a tendency to go out. And this is a little bit different practice. And I know that was a great deal of information. So as you just notice your breath moving in and out in whatever way it is doing so at this point in time, I invite you to allow that flow to gently lead you and guide you in and through this amazing body vessel. And as I invite in some of the significant beings that are here today, absolutely and always inviting in Michael, who is an amazing, protective, and representing the duality in which we live and holding mutual duality for us. Being able to embrace the light and the dark, the good and the bad, male and female, life and death. And the many, many, many other forms of duality that is part of our current exploration, not only on this planet, but in this universe. And I encourage everyone to simply allow what is occurring within your body, within your energy field, with no effort, no push, no work, simply allowing, simply inviting your body, your energy field, your wider self, your guides and teachers and masters to show you, teach you, guide you, and remind you. As always, we have the Master Gatekeeper, Delphinion, who opens all doors, portals, and passageways that can in any way benefit, and closes tightly all those doors, portals, and passageways that can in any way cause harm to any here or those that they are connected to, be they back doors, front doors, side doors, above doors, and below doors. For when we are inviting communication and connection with other realities, other beings, other existences, We want to make sure that only those that are invited join us. You need not follow my words, for it is only a means. My voice is only a means or channel by which the energetics are transmitted, enabling you to more easily resonate and drop down and in, ever more down and in to you, to your inner verse. And I am inviting in the four directions, the four elements as part of this and all practices, for they are the basic building blocks of this universe, the pillars upon which the universe stands, or so it is described in the Mayan tradition. The earth, soil, from which springs all life, upon which all life here sits. The air allows us the breath of life. Brings in movement and flow, change. Water, in so many traditions, seen as the cradle of life, without which, of course, we nor anything on this planet can live. Its adaptability, the only element to have three forms: solid, liquid, gaseous. That which makes up the highest percentage of our body. And fire. So important, the fire coming from the sun allows us, affords us not only the light of day, but the warmth and power and radiating energy. Again, vital to all life. on this planet. I call in and call upon the 7 directions. The direction of the east, with Brother Eagle bringing us illumination. Governing the mind. I call in and call upon the direction of the west, with Brother Bear, particularly significant as we move into the winter months for inner exploration, introspection, going within. I call in and call upon the direction of the south, with Sister Porcupine and Sister Otter, reminding us of playfulness and wide-eyed wonder, innocence. And I call in and call upon the direction of the north, overseen by Lady White Buffalo, bringing us wisdom, patience, prayerfulness. I call in and call upon the direction of below, with the inner earth beings, the engineers and maintainers of this amazing planet. The very core of the earth. And I call in and call upon the direction of the above, our cosmic family, relatives, companions, our 9 planetary family system. And the many, many, many forms within this universe, the cosmic forms. And I call in and call upon the direction of within, your inner verse, your vast, vast experience, accumulated through eons, through countless lifetimes, in all and any form. And for those that you have existed in within this universe, bringing you the opportunity to access knowledge, abilities, gifts, helpers throughout the universe. For you are a multi-existential being. And at this point in time, you have the ability to source and utilize the information, abilities, energetics, that you deemed valuable for this particular time on this particular planet as it goes through an evolution of the human species, as well as all of those other dimensions, worlds, and realms in on this Earth project at this point in time. For make no mistake, you are here on purpose. You are not a puppet nor a victim to any force or being or design other than your own. In conjunction with those soul companions with whom you designed and created your journey. Those being your closest family members, even those throughout your young life who have apparently harmed you. And while that may be true on a physical basis, on your wider soul level, your design with their cooperation serves perfectly to bring to fruition your soul's purposes. So on this day, to honor them, to acknowledge them, to recognize their role and their significance in your designed journey to bring you to this point for transformation and ideally transmutation of human nature aspects in your own unique and individual way. Breathe, which allows for far-reaching effects in the transformation and transmutation of the human species, and therefore this Earth project. Yes, you are a magnificent being with a significant plan and purposes. You are so much more than you know. And honoring yourself, your wider self this day, sinking down and within, enabling you to connect, communicate with, and commune with the multitudes of helpers that surround you, always have and always will. Just simply a breath away with a request, a thought, a heartfelt asking. And allowing yourself to sink another level deeper into you. For this is the most important relationship of all. You with all the many parts and aspects and facets, all of which can be discovered, cooperated with, collaborated with, as you explore your inner verse, your internal world. Not through the mind, but through the visceral, felt, sensated way. For once you have experienced something within yourself, within your human and energetic and spiritual self. It is imprinted and stays far beyond simply this physical experience, but allows you to have that deep trust and faith, not as an idea, concept, mental form, but as a lived, bodily, energetic experience, which will stay with you throughout your life, your human life, and stays within the vast library of experiences of your soul. And as you sink even deeper, let your mind, your brain, your frontal lobe fall into the background, enabling your sensating, felt experience to lead you. Perhaps to encounter a loved one that has crossed over, perhaps to have a sense of an ancestor, again, not necessarily through your vision, let that go. That may not be your actual way. Feel, allow. Perhaps it is a divine being, a representation from one tradition or another, those labeled as gods or goddesses. Perhaps it is a symbol, a sound, a shape, from the multitudes of traditions, ancient or even more recent on this earth. Perhaps it is an animal teacher or an insect. Perhaps a form of this planet itself. Mountains, valleys, deserts, waterways of all sorts. Perhaps an aspect of nature. Tree, plant, flower. Moss, countless forms. Fruit, vegetable. Allow, allow, allow. When you let the mind go, you may travel, shape shift into a form. The more you allow, the more potential for the connection, communication, communing. And again, as you allowed your energy field and your wider self to lead you inward, Please allow your energy field and your wider self to lead you outward, yet experiencing and enjoying the in-between of your non-physical self and your physical self. Your energy field and your wider self know exactly the right way for you. Do not lead with your mind. Do not push yourself back. Do not force the process that is exactly right for you. Your timing, your pace, your way. Your energy field knows exactly what to do and how best to enable you to experience the process moving from a less physical to a more physical experience of yourself. And as that occurs, there are many here, many beings, many teachers, many masters, incorporating your experience, the energetics within your system so that you are fully whole or more whole even as you eventually open your eyes and come to a more consensus reality presence. This recording will be available on the Healers Universe channel on YouTube, which is entitled A Healer's Universe. I encourage you to go back and revisit this as you choose, particularly over the next few days, inviting in or setting your altar or design either on your behalf, your family, those here and those that have crossed over, for and on behalf of your culture, your nation, as we head into this very, very crucial point in Earth history, this choice point that seems to be represented by this election. Evolution or backwards. Either is fine, but you have choice. So when you do such a practice, when you set up your altar, when you call in help and sink down deep within, you are voting as a multi-existential being your choice for this Earth project. Remember, tomorrow evening, should you decide to join us live and in person, it will occur here in my backyard with appropriate social distancing. Must be wearing a mask, but we will be doing profound ceremony on All Souls Day as we head into that soul election. And as always, it is with the most profound honor, gratitude, and love that for you, for your presence here on this planet at this time, and all that you do by being who you are. Until next time, be well and always. Bye-bye.